Good morning everyone, here we are, another day, living the dream, rocking and rolling. We're back in the office again. I like it here, I think it's pretty cool. So today Carrie's been out doing a lot of book-ish stuff and we've not really had a chance to film a video together, so here we are, later on in the day, filming a little video for the old Good Morning World series. What I thought we'd do today is do a little story time, a little story from the past, and today I feel like we should talk about my audition process for my first West End job. Only because it's pretty dramatic and it's pretty fun, I think. Yeah, so I just thought we'd just talk about me getting that job and, you know, the auditions leading up to getting the job and how I felt when I got it and all that sort of stuff, because it's never really straightforward, and this story isn't really straightforward. I'm aware that I've talked about this briefly before on probably like one of the Good Mornings, but I thought I'd dedicate a single video to it. So yeah, let's talk about me getting my first West End job. So my first West End job was the Book of Mormon, which I started in 2015. But let's bring it back a bit and talk about how it happened or how it came about. So I first auditioned for the Book of Mormon in 2012. I was still in third year at the time, and I remember getting the audition and being like really excited because it was like my first like West End audition. And my teachers in school were like, hey, this like musical's like perfect for you. I feel like you might have a good chance. And at the time I didn't really think, but looking back I did feel the pressure because I did feel ready. I did feel ready to like step up and be working in the professional world, but I don't know, it just felt like a really big step to go from like a third year at college to like a new musical. And in 2012, this would have been the original cast, we're talking. This is like, I was auditioning for the original cast. And so it felt very soon for me, because I knew that I would be up against people who've been working in the West End for years. So I knew it would be hard. So, 2012, here we are. I'm in college and I'm auditioning for the Book of Mormon. My first round, I took 2 songs to sing, so this was just a singing round. And I sang a song called The Calling from the Altar Boys, and it went really well. And I got recalled, which was really exciting. So my recall was about a week later, and I had to go back and dance. Which I felt pretty okay about, but I was a bit nervous because I counted myself as a stronger singer, actor / dancer, and still do, so this was going to be like the hard bit. I go into this dance call a week later and I'm looking about this room and I'm quite like, at the time, 2012, not really done masses of work. I say masses of work, I've not done any work because I'm still in college. But I'm quite like down on the old Instagram or Twitter, so I know faces from people. I'm like, well, he's in Wicked and he's in Les Mis, and I sort of recognise all these people. Obviously they don't recognise me because I'm nobody. So I learned this dance quickly. We did Man Up and Turn It Off. So what they normally do in a dance call, they normally have 2 at the front and 2 at the back. So say like you're the panel, it'd be like 2 there and 2 at the back in the gaps. But because there was so many auditioning for Mormon in its like original cast, they did it in 5 groups of 5. So they did 3 at the front, like 1, 2, 3, and 2 at the back were in the gaps, if that makes sense. And I was centre front, which is just chance because they normally call it alphabetically when it gets to the dance call. So they'll teach you the dance and go, okay, now we're gonna run it, you know, for the panel and for the choreographers and stuff. And I was front center, so I couldn't see like anyone to sort of cheat or like go, what's next? And I fudged it. I messed up royally. I was doing the dance and I got to a point of the choreography and just blanked. And everyone carried on. The other like 4 boys in my group just carried on dancing. And I was like, and I just stood there and it felt like the panel was about a meter away from me. It was probably like 5. But it felt so close, and they just all looked at me as I just stood there going, okay, I forgot the dance, and I looked to my right, looked to my left, and sort of saw what they were doing and was like, okay, yeah, that's it, and carried on and sort of finished, and that was it. I got cut and I didn't hear again, which was a bit gutting because I had to go back to theatre school, and people just thought I had a good chance and I got cut, and I felt really bad. And I remember saying to my teacher at the time, going, well, surely as you get older, you know, and you're in the business more, you pick up dances quicker and you don't forget them. And he was like, I don't think you do. Which is probably something I didn't really want to hear, but he said that anyway. And maybe I agree with it. Now, I just think now you're just more relaxed, so you're not gonna forget as much, you know, as you sort of grow older, you're not as worried. Like back then, that was like my first West End audition. It was the be all and end all. So, flash forward another year, 2013, they're doing a cast change, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I know I'm good for this show. So this time round, I sing, which went well. I got recalled. Then I danced and got recalled. I remembered the choreography and did well. So in my head, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is like the one. And I felt like really good about it because I knew the Book of Mormon was a show I could do. And in my third round for that year, in 2013, I went in and sang again, and I was singing, and they just didn't really seem that interested. And yeah, I remember doing scales at the piano, and I felt like I sang all right, but whatever I did then just wasn't right, basically. And I today can't even think what it was. I just felt like whatever they wanted that year, I wasn't it. Whether I was too tall, too small, I don't know. So yeah, it just didn't happen that year. But again, I knew I was right for that show. So, flash forward 2014, and in January 2014, I'm like, I know that the Book of Mormon auditions are in September. They're always in September, August time in the West End, and they sort of last till October. And so January that year, I'm like, I'm getting this job. I know by now, I know the choreography because it's always the same sort of dance moves, so nothing would surprise me. I sort of know the material, I know what they're sort of looking for. So we flash forward to like September that year, and I do a couple of rounds. But for people who don't know, I was in a show called Don't Tell a Bride, which there's a video somewhere on my channel, which you can watch if you want. That sort of happened during this audition process for the Book of Mormon. Really short, but I had to like live separately to my family because we're doing this TV show. So I couldn't even tell my mum that I was auditioning for the Book of Mormon, which she was really excited about because she knew how much it meant to me and how confident I was that one day I'd be in it. But this is like the big story. So about 3 or 4 rounds in, so I've got a bit further again, so I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I go in and sing for Elder Price as a cover, so a first cover Elder Price. I sing this song, and the MD's there now, the musical director. So sometimes in auditions, the musical director or even like the director are not there until nearing the end. They put their associates or their assistants in at the early stages, and then they'll come in later on to make the big decisions. And the MD at the time, a guy called Nick, was there, and he was there the previous years, so he sort of knew me from the previous times I auditioned for Mormon. And I sang a bit of Elder Price, whatever, and I sang whatever, and I sort of finished, and he said, hey, like, listen, like, just go outside for a moment. So I went outside. Quickly, I'm being quite vague with the story because I know that I've told this before, this segment, so I'm being pretty vague, but just for the people who don't know, this is a bit of a story for you. So then I went outside. A big important factor in this is that I had braces at the time, but I didn't have braces at the front of my teeth. I had them behind, sort of like train tracks, as you would call them, but behind. So they weren't like thin and like small and whatever. They were pretty clunky, but right behind my teeth, which did affect my speech. But because at that point I had them on for like 2 years, 2.5 years maybe, I sort of forgot how it was affecting me vocally. So Nick brought me outside, which is like, I spoke to him like since then, and you know, we're friends now, and I've said like how like grateful I am that he did this, but he brought me outside and said, hey listen, like we like you, like we like your look, we like your voice, however you have this speech impediment and it's really like prominent when you sing. But because I had these braces behind my teeth and not in front, he couldn't see that. So I was like, hey, like it's because of my braces. And he was like, what braces? And I'm like, behind my teeth, look. And I shown him and he was like, oh wow. And he said, when are you due to have them off? And no word of a lie, they were due to be off then. So I told Nick that, I said, they're due to be off. And he was like, well, as soon as you get those braces off, if we're still casting, call and we'll get you back in. So I leave the audition room, and at that point I call my family and go, oh my God, like I feel like I can get this job, but I need to get these braces out of my mouth. I need to get them from behind my teeth so I can sing again. And at that point, we owed £2,000 of the fees left for the braces, you know, to come out of my mouth basically, because my teeth at that point were pretty much done. But they were done, to be honest. And we just had to pay £2,000. And we didn't have £2,000. I didn't have £2,000. My family didn't have £2,000. We just didn't have those means. We didn't have that money lying around. So I was like, okay, well, I know this is gonna happen. Like, I know if I get these braces off, I feel pretty confident in my own ability that I can get this job and it will be worth it in the long run. So I went online and got a loan. No joke. Went online and put my details in and I got a loan for £2,000. And luckily it got accepted. And yeah, I was just like, well, that's it, isn't it? Like, so I got the money like days or weeks later. I think it took quite a long time, actually. It actually took quite a while for the money to come through because we had to like sign these documents and all that sort of stuff. And because I said to my agent, I was like, I've got a loan, I'm gonna pay, you know, the orthodontist, we're getting these braces out. So then he had to go and speak to, you know, the casting directors and say, Oliver still wants to be in the process. Then a week later, the money still wasn't in my account, and then the casting director would ring my agent and go, what's going on with Ollie? Has he still got his braces in? Luckily enough, in time, the money came into my account, I paid the orthodontist, and yeah, we got him out as quick as we could. And I jumped back in the casting process right near the end. I literally just made it. And I came in and sang something, I can't remember, and I remember Nick going, oh my God, like so much better, like it's a massive improvement. And I felt it as well because I didn't have this chunk of metal on both of my like sets of teeth, you know? So then later on in the process, the final round, I sang some Elder Price stuff. Yeah, so that was a total of 6 rounds. And I remember leaving my audition at RADA, because that's where the final was, and my agent calling and saying they want you to go back. And at this point I was living up north in Warrington, so I wasn't based in London. And I was like, oh God. I was like, what? He's like, no, it's good, it's good. They want you to come back because you have to sing for Sonia Friedman, who's like the main producer in the UK. They want you to sing the price stuff because she has to approve the prices. I think that's what it was. Anyway, I went back again, went back into the room, sang again for Sonia, and then left. And yeah, 3 weeks later, and a lot of waiting around, I got the job. So yeah. So 7 rounds in total, maybe 3 a year before and 2 the year before that. So, you know, 12, 13, 14-ish rounds in total. It happened. But I'm so glad that I sort of took control of the situation because, you know, like I said, I didn't have the money to get my braces off. They were sort of there and I couldn't do anything about it until we paid the £2,000. But I knew in my bones that I could do this. I was like, I know I'm right for this job. And having that conversation with Nick, I just felt like they liked me. It was just one thing that was holding me back. So I tried everything I could to make that happen, which was to get a loan and to get the braces off. So yeah, interesting story. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. I've not really told many people about that, so exclusive. Right, bye everyone. Be safe out there. Don't let things get in your way. You can do it. Knock down those obstacles. Rock and roll. Bye!